second guessing. I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known. It would have kept me from the one I had today. Simply curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing. I just forget the lessons that I couldn't learn. Because one street over there's a life I could have known. Would have kept me from the one I had today. From my home, cracked and broken asphalt everywhere. I could have ended up just like that broken road, with a dead end in my path. Thank the Lord that I've got more than that. In this life there's nothing certain, except the curtain that rises to the stage. Silly games of second guessing. I won't forget the lessons that I don't deserve. Because one street over there's a life I could have known. Would have kept me from the one I love today.
Good morning. How you doing? Robertson County. This is 1100 WSGI. I'm here to LaVern, and this is One Street Over. Welcome to it. Again, this is 1100 WSGI. I don't know if I said that before I had everything turned down. But we want to welcome you to the morning. It's a beautiful day. What day is it? Today is Thursday. Yes, it's Thursday. I had to think for a moment. But we are getting into it, kind of anticipating as we look ahead to what we should expect for the weather being kind of not what we got today. And it's so funny because our master gardener popped in yesterday. There was a miscommunication, and he's saying it's all on his part. I'm just teasing you. But I do that all the time. I'm not good at. My husband says I need to have the Google Calendar that tells me exactly where I'm supposed to be and when I'm supposed to be there, and I probably do, especially now that I'm a teacher and I'm so busy. But God bless you. Thank you for coming back in. I'm sorry for the confusion. But as soon as you came in yesterday, I'm like, I need to talk to you because I'm looking at these temperatures, and this is Bob Airy. Bob Airy. I knew I was going to say it wrong. My apologies. Bob Airy is our master gardener with the UT Extension Office, and he is here to just talk about some of the things that they've got coming up, because you do have some classes coming up. Mm-hmm. But really, when it comes to questions that people have, do you get phone calls a lot about, okay, this is happening, what do I do? Do you get those kinds of questions?
That's mostly what I get.
Okay.
These days. You know, I'm working at the Extension Office on a part-time basis, but as I started back after being retired for a couple of years, the goal for me is to be able to answer those residential and consumer horticulture questions that clients might have. And also, I'm the coordinator now for the Master Gardener program, the training program, and working with the Master Gardener Association here in Robertson County.
Okay. And that just basically means he's the expert, right? Absolutely. Wouldn't you think?
Well,
how long have you been doing this? How long have you been doing this line of work?
Well, I worked with UT Extension for 42 years.
Okay.
And my horticulture background, I started with those responsibilities in 1998.
Okay.
So I worked with 22 years from then on till I retired. And during that time, covered all of horticulture, including the commercial fruit and vegetable, farmers markets, working with those folks. I did everything that related to plants.
Okay.
So I covered all of that part and taking care of growing plants, diagnostics for pest problems and issues, and recommendations for varieties, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay, because before we turned everything on, I was talking to him about all the things that I have going on, because as I'm looking at the temperatures coming up first of the week, I'm thinking polar vortex, because that's what we called it last year. Was that properly classified? Is that what it was, that we had that snap, that it was just so bitter cold, and then of course it went back to being Tennessee? It was like summer again the next week. Well, but they call it a polar vortex. Is that what it was, and what is that?
Well, it was a polar vortex, and it just happened to be so severe.
Yeah.
I went to a training yesterday, landscape management, for our commercial professionals out there who deal with this, and our specialists were saying, that was just such a shocking event, a 50 degree change within 24 hours.
Okay.
And with the prediction for this weekend and for these next few days and nights, and I'm like everybody else, I thought, oh my gosh, we're going to get down to -1, and we're not going to get above freezing for a few days. So what does that mean for us? And their thinking is, and I think most everyone's agreed. In fact, Jason Reeves, who's the director for the UT Gardens in Jackson, posted yesterday, because I'm sure everybody's has that question now after that. So going through the year, wondering if your plants died or they actually did die, or do I need to replace them? Right. Right now, et cetera, But we've determined that, or they've determined that this is a more normal pattern. Although it's all of a sudden we're going to get down around zero again for those evening temperatures, that we've still had enough cold already that plants have adjusted to those cold temperatures. I mean, it wasn't sometime within the last month or so that it was 20 degrees at my house.
Yeah.
So we've already experienced that much.
Right.
That we hadn't even come close to December a year ago, when that vortex and that 50 degree difference in 24 hours happened.
Okay.
So we feel like, at least at this point in time, we feel like that plants are acclimated enough this time around that it's not going to be such a shock. Now, Jason Reeves did post yesterday, for some of us that might have some perennials or some plants that we're carrying over in pots above ground. We're talking about plants that aren't in the ground and protected in that environment. But if they're above ground and they're in containers, whether it's plastic pots at the ground level or it might be something that's in a raised container, then that needs some attention. If we can provide some attention, and the number one part would be to water those plants. And the reason is, water is a great insulator for the soil and root zone where the plant roots are. And it takes a lot of energy to freeze that water. And so that provides that insulation and protects those roots and keeps them from freezing.
Okay.
If we have a dry media, and most of our plantings that we have in containers are media, it's not really dirt, then...
So explain what you mean by that. I understand what you're saying, but for folks listening, what do you mean by...
Well,
it's not soil.
It's
not
not
soil.
It's not pure soil. It's a lot of organic matter and larger particles. It may include some sand in it. A lot of times there'll be pine fines and other organic materials. And so it's not real clay soil or all what we would go outside and dig up.
Right. It's not as much of an insulator in and of itself.
Not as much.
Right. Not so dense.
Because it's well, first of all, it's designed to drain well.
Yeah.
Which keeps the roots from rotting.
Right.
But over time, that moisture has to be replenished, and we need to provide that moisture for those roots to be able to survive. And also so here we are in this particular case, in the winter winter air is a very dry air. And so that moisture that may be in those pots, and we've been very fortunate to have some recent rains, which is really good and helpful. But still, those pots may dry out if being above ground and letting gravity doing its work, and also the air around being so dry. Okay. So one thing that we can do today or tonight is if we have those containers outside, that we just provide one nice flush watering during the day today. Okay. Or that night before it's going to get down to.
Yeah, because I was saying, I'm looking at that, and as I'm anticipating that what I lost, that just, I hated it. I love English ivy. Mm-hmm. Absolutely love it. The old ivy covered buildings. I had this cascade of ivy on the front of my house. My kids thought it was creepy. I absolutely loved it. It's gone. Mm-hmm. It died down to the roots. I mean, I had to cut every bit of my ivy back, and now it's coming back on the ground. I'm not going to let it take over the house again. My kids just really have discouraged me to that. But I do have this I have this arbor tunnel that is going to be spectacular when it's covered in something. And I had anticipated that ivy covering it. Now I'm a little apprehensive about, cultivating that to where that happens, because if it happens again, then I'm going to lose my coverage. Mm-hmm. So I've got wisteria growing at one end of it. So my plan in the spring is to put in probably 3 or 4 more wisteria plants, because I was stunned that they did so well in the polar vortex. I figured I'd lose those to the ground too, but I mean, they're doing fabulous. But going in, if I go in and just give a good watering, even to my things that are my ivies and all of that, well, will that good chance that it'll give me a little bit of insulation then?
Well, it's going to give more than
what nothing
if you don't.
Okay.
But as we've experienced this rainfall over the last month or so, we had a really dry fall.
Oh yeah.
Overall. Yeah. And that's so this rain that we've had during the last couple of months or so is very helpful. And even though we ended 2023 in a moisture deficit for the year, a rainfall deficit for the year, what we've had, in the month of December and so far in January, I mean, I've had 1.5 inches, a couple inches, a couple of times, and even with the last rainfall that we had, the ground is saturated enough that there's a lot of runoff happening now. It can't hold anymore. Mm-hmm. But if we have they say this is going to be the most wonderful day over the next 7 days, and if the sun is shining, there's going to be some drying at the surface that happens, and so some moisture. Okay.
Well, I'll make a point to do that, and we're talking with Bob Airy. He is our master gardener here with the UT Extension Office, and I was so excited when Lee Marie said that she had scheduled you to come in, because I've got so many questions. I've got these things I'm trying to do in my yard, and I'm frustrated when things mess up. So I've got lots of questions. But I'm going to do a break. But before we do anything else, tell them about the classes you have coming up and what you're here to promote, not just answer my personal questions. So what is it you've got coming up? You've got some classes coming up.
Well, it's the time of the year for Master Gardener training to actually happen. And this is important for a volunteer program to assist with horticulture, really be an extension of me as the extension person here in the county, to have a group of trained volunteers who've been through a training that provides a broad overview of horticulture. I mean, all of us as gardeners, we have specifics. We may have our own passions. Yeah. Just like you want to have the wisteria on your arbor, and that. But these folks go through the training not only to increase their own knowledge, but to be able to share that knowledge with others. And so this is 40 hours of training beginning January the 30th. This year I'm going to offer, there's the daytime classes, and I'm going to offer a nighttime class on Thursday evenings. It goes for 14 weeks, about 40 hours of training. And then if you complete the training and you want to continue on to actually become a certified master gardener, then you return some volunteer hours, 40 volunteer hours, to the University of Tennessee through service and projects. And there are lots of projects in the county. I did a program for the Kiwanis Club earlier this week and highlighted there's 14, 15 projects or so that they're involved in, and continuing education. And it's just a great way to network with other gardeners and understand what they're doing in their own home landscapes, whether they're growing vegetables or flowers or interested in pollinator gardens or rain gardens, et cetera, et cetera. And so that's, but fees $175 for one person, $225 for two that are in the same household that want to share those materials. And the trainings are going to be from 9 to 12 on Tuesdays, beginning January the 30th, and then I'll begin on February the 1st, 6 to 8 p.m., all of those sessions to be at the Highland Rim Research and Education Center, which is has a nice meeting room that we use, and also the beginnings of a wonderful demonstration garden that's going to be a part of the center and open, and it's always open to the public during daytime hours. Anybody can go out and
Okay, so there's going to be explain that a little bit more. A sample garden at the center? Okay, so is it going to be just outside then? I mean, I'm assuming it's not going to be like anything that's interior and grown in a conservatory type fashion. It's going to be an exterior garden that, okay, what kind of things are you anticipating when you say experimental? Is it going to be just some things we're not used to growing, or methods of growing?
Well, we hope that it's going to, at some point, Rob Ellis is the director out there, and he's excited because there are other research and education centers across the state that are now sites for part of the UT Gardens system.
Okay.
The main UT Garden is on the main campus in Knoxville, but there's also a garden at the Research and Education Center in Jackson, Research and Education Center in Crossville. And so the goal for us as we're moving forward, still in very, very, very early stages, is to maybe one day that this would be a Research and Education Center garden as well, and a part of the UT Garden system where there are some trials that happen.
Okay.
And there may be something that's informal that happens along the way before we actually get to where professors are involved in actually doing research and interns are involved. But, there's going to be a conversation today about maybe utilizing some of the space here at the station to have turf research plots for different grasses for homeowners and evaluate those for us being so close to the Kentucky line, for one thing, but also to look at drought tolerance and disease resistance and et cetera. All of those factors that would help us make a decision on what would be the best turf for us to have in our home lawns.
That's so funny because you talk about the things that I'm interested in getting my trellis covered and getting my little getting some kind of coverage on this little tunnel thing I've got going. But one of my sons, he's all about the turf. It's like, what kind of grass am I going to grow? I want it to be green all the time. And I mean, that's his interest. He'd be like, oh yeah. So I think that's wonderful because you cover the full spectrum of questions. I just wish I had more hours in the day. I would so love to be a master gardener. I have such an interest in it. When I was an FFA in high school, I was one of the early girls that were, involved in the club. And one of my things, I was the public speaker and would compete for speaking.
Yes.
Can you imagine?
Yes.
Yeah, because I'm mouthy. But I would do impromptu speaking, and one of my wheelhouses was horticulture, all things horticulture. And I knew a lot about it back then, and I've forgotten it all, but I always was fascinated by it. And so I just wish I had more hours in the day to do all the things that I'm interested in. I would love to be a master gardener. I think that's just the coolest thing because I just am fascinated. Have you ever been to my place down here at the end of Lawrence Lane? Have you been out?
I have never.
Okay, we have 40 acres that Lloyd Kite used to own out past the wastewater plant, right? And when we moved out there, you can see the trellis in the land, the way that it was done for farming. Well, we're not farmers. We went out there to house our roofing company. And for 20 years we had that. And I really wanted to let the trees just come back up. And my husband always mocks me. Some poor farmer broke his back clearing this and you're just letting it go to seed. And I did. Well, what's been fascinating is the woods that have the little forest area it's all natural. Except for
Emerged.
just a few trees that I had planted before we let it go to seed. And it's been fascinating to see what just comes up. You know, it's just the neatest thing. And I go out there with my little ID picture thing, picture it, and what is this? And I find out all kinds of interesting things. But I just love it. I absolutely love it. It's an early passion for me. So I wish I could be there. As the years go on, one of these days I'm going to be in your class. You'll be like, oh, there's LaVern. I'm here. I love it. I love all this stuff. So if you have any questions for Bob Airy, he is our master gardener. Go to these classes. That would be wonderful. But you can also give them to me in comments, and I will share them with him. I do need to do a break, and we also, Lee Marie's going to get me if I don't mention the square dance happening this weekend at Murph's Country Music Barn. This is a cool thing, guys. It's on Saturday at Murph's, 6 to 10:30. Kids can come to this. Kids are 6 to 12 or $6. Adults are $9. And I mean, if you've ever been out with a bunch of kids dancing and having fun, it is just the best time. I want to bring my, because it's a little bit late for them. They're still kind of young, but I want to bring them out so bad and have them just go to a square dance. It would be so much fun, but go do that. But we do need to talk about our sponsor, Barry and Rebecca Richards with the Exit Realty Garden Gate team. My friends in the real estate community love them so much. They're great friends. I talked to Barry yesterday. I gave him a call. We had some questions just about some commercial property. You know, I had talked with my new friend Jeffrey Jocelyn on Monday, and they're looking for something to do something. You know, and it's like they do movies, and he's a musician, and so he's looking for space to help work with that. And I'm like, you need to talk to Barry because he's got this background in media marketing, and so he knows exactly what you do and what you're talking about. And so trying to make those connections. So I was on the phone with Barry yesterday, trying to connect him with Jeffrey, and just love that community of being able to say, oh, I know what you're looking for. And that's the way Barry and Rebecca are plugged in because they're cross-Planians. They've been here 28 years. They're so involved in the community. We've been talking about Kilgore Station Bluegrass Festival already because that's going to be coming up in May. We had the folks in yesterday playing some music for us and kind of anticipating that. They sponsor that. Barry is one of the ones at the very beginning of that. So they're just plugged into what we have going on here. They specialize in Robertson County properties, but also buy and sell in the surrounding counties and across the state line in Kentucky, whether it be residential, business, whatever it might be. If it's land that you're wanting to buy or sell, they're your go-to. Barry is the broker here in Springfield, has an office there on the square. Rebecca is an agent out of White House, and best way to find them, you can just Barry Richards, Exit Realty Garden Gate Team, Google Rebecca Richards, Exit Realty Garden Gate Team. You'll find all their things that will plug you into them. And then quick way too, just give Rebecca a call, 615-504-7425, 615-504-7425. Please always let them know. Bob Airy is in the house with us for the Master Garden classes. Again, beginning on when?
Tuesday, January 30th.
Okay, you're going to have daytime and evening classes. And it is a 40-hour study. So when you get done with this class, you're not classed as certified. What? It's just a training, but to be a certified master gardener, then you have to do the volunteer hours.
Right.
Okay, but this is step one. If you want that classification, master gardener, you start with the training, then you put in the hours. Oh, I would do this in a minute if I had time. I'm telling you, I would love this. But now, how does the certification last for a lifetime? Or do you have to do refreshers?
You do.
Okay. How does that work?
Well, for the initial trainings, and you complete the training, you do 40 hours of volunteering plus 8 continuing education units too. I mean, so it's lifelong learning, and it's great because it is that way. I just find that working with plants, it's such a dynamic part of our lives and in so many different ways, whether it's food production or if it's trees and shrubs and flowers and turf, and as we've been talking about, all of that. And there's something new and exciting or some issues that arise that happen that we need to be on the lookout for and to be able to manage in our home landscapes. And so this is a great way to stay on top of what's happening horticulture wise across the state. And right plant, right place, so
Yeah.
so we
Oh,
can
yeah.
help.
Yeah.
I found that in last year's class, I had 19 that were a part of the training in 2023, and there were somewhere between 40 and 50% of those people who were enrolled that have moved to Tennessee from some other place in the country, and other places are very different, and so they are not familiar with the plants that do well here, and to understand that they can't grow the plants that they used to be growing where they came from. And so that's a part of it too. It's just providing, again, that broad overview of horticulture and growing plants in Tennessee. And also getting to know people. Gardeners are great folks, and it's that way with lots of small groups. But when you get together and everyone has this interest and this passion and are just wanting to work together to, increase everything that they want to do with their home landscapes and their own vegetable gardens, but also ways that they can benefit the community by helping out on projects and I'll answer questions that others might have. Because they've had the training, and you can go to uthort.com and type in a search word that'll help you maybe find a publication that is related to a topic that you're interested in. What varieties of fruit trees are recommended for us in the state of Tennessee. There's some varieties that we go to the store and we see, but those varieties don't grow well here. I mean, they taste great, and we love that they're here, but don't try to grow those particular varieties here in the state.
I can see that because there's so many new folks here. And I was at Corbin Creek one day, I don't know, maybe even last month, and there was a couple. I wanted to say they had moved here from Hawaii. And they were asking a lot of the questions you're talking about, so they really need to plug in. And I kind of think that Amy even mentioned that to reach. Well, I don't know if I can't remember the specifics of it, but there was a conversation, and I think that we talked about the UT Extension office and reaching out to you and saying, hey, here's where you need to go. These guys can absolutely answer your questions. But because it's fascinating, because Amy says the same thing, that she gets questions all the time. People coming out going, what is this? I've never seen this plant before. And it's like, well, because this is a good plant for here in Middle Tennessee. And so just like I have, my mom just passing, she had right outside her door the hydrangea from her mother's yard. And so I want to make sure that I get a cutting of that and move it to my house. Also an old rose, rose bush that she had that was one of the old fashioned climbing roses. I want to be sure and get some of that and bring it over. There's just a lot of those kinds of things in my mother's yard that I want to transplant. I'm not good with that kind of stuff. I'm stunned that I was able to grow ivy I had this great ivy. It was wonderful because it's just, you just throw it out there, and, so I love that, and I love gardening. Like I said, it was my first love in high school, and I really want to revisit it. So one of these days, I'm going to be in class. But so get a hold of this man. How can they get in touch with you to find all that? Time is running out, and I didn't get all my questions answered, Bob. So how can they get in touch to sign up for the class?
You can contact the Extension office at 615-384-7936 or stop by at the corner of 5th and Main. The office is there. Send me an email, bobary@utk.edu. Okay. And I'll reply back with all of the information that you need to understand everything that's happening and how to register and et cetera, et cetera.
Well, and give them the phone number again and do the website again, if you would. You had given out a website, so go ahead and give out that website again and the phone number again, just in case you need to get their pencil out. And you can listen to this again, guys. You can listen to it again, but go ahead and give it one more time.
615-384-7936. That's the office number, located at 5th and Main here in Springfield. And my email, bobary, bobary@utk.edu.
Okay.
And the Extension office has a Facebook page.
Yep.
So social media, it's out there. And you
sign up.
Yep.
Sign up for the Master Garden class, and your neighbors are coming in here because they're downstairs from you. The United Way folks, but
Okay.
Ron and Tiffany, they're coming on after you. I do want my one question answered though. Okay, so what can I do differently on my little arbor that will grow fast and cover that quickly? Do you have a suggestion for me? Because I've got the wisteria, but it's not going to happen quickly. Is there something that I can put on there to give quick coverage on that arbor? And I don't know. Is there any suggestion you have for me? Is it?
Well, if it's something that you just want to kind of fill in the space while the wisteria is getting started, and because eventually you're going to remove it anyway, probably I would, because the wisteria will really take it over. So maybe you just want to try to grow some gourds on there this year and just utilize that for a covering and something that's an annual but yet can really reap the benefits of having that support.
Oh, that's a good idea.
Yeah, and
could I leave the vines, or would I have to pull them down, or could I leave the vine there and just pull the gourds and leave the vine and let them dry out and just let them stay part of the trellis?
Sure, you can do that.
That would work, wouldn't it? Oh, that's a great idea. See, I love to grow gourds because they're just crazy. There's all kinds of them.
Right.
I love that, Bob. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right, guys. I got a plan. See, that was my main question. Because see, I take photographs, and that tunnel is a beautiful thing to photograph when it's covered. Yeah. But if it's not covered, it's just ugly. So thank you.
It's just a stock panel.
Yeah, exactly. It's just, exactly. So thank you, Bob, so much.
Welcome.
Sign up for the Master Gardening class, and anytime you want to come in, and I'll tell you, go down to the end of the road and walk through my little forest if you're ever curious about just what came up. You're welcome anytime.
Thank you.
You're welcome. God bless you. Thank you, Bob. And as we reset and let Brian and Tiffany make their way in here, again, sign up for the Master Gardening class. It's going to be starting up here in a couple of weeks, and you want to be a part of it. Thank you, Bob. God bless you. And as we continue on, let's go ahead. Let's talk about Katie Did It Designs. Katie Did It Designs. I am so excited that she and her hubby, Mr. Perry, are part of this program. So excited to talk about them because the bottom line is, we all need a little help. I've got to reach out to Katie because I've got some things I'm getting ready to work on, and I want to have them come out and just kind of give me some, suggestions on what I can do as far as colors and maybe some suggestions. And we're going to do some redecorating, redesigning of our living room and our kitchen and all of that. And I'm not really good at that. I know what I like, but it's not usually what other people like. And I'm not the only one that lives there. So I need help. And so I think that's what I'm going to do real soon. I haven't called her and talked to her about it, but she has programs where she can just come out and give you a consult, give you suggestions. She calls it a DIY consultation that and she'll give you all the things you need to do it yourself. And she can come in and do every bit of it from start to finish for you as well. If no matter what you're looking for, whether it be what kind of budget you're working with, if you want to work with all the things you already have, it's like, here's what I have. How can I remake this? And oh man, just go and check it out. She's got KatieDidItDesigns.com, KatieDidItDesigns.com. You can find her on Facebook, Katie Did It Designs. Make sure you put that S on designs, Katie Did It Designs. And you can go on social media and you can see the before and afters, and you just go, oh, I need that. I need that so bad. I'm kind of embarrassed though. My bedroom is just atrocious. It is awful. And it has just been let go for so long. And I'm just like, I gotta do something, but I don't want her to see it right now. It's kind of like you want to clean it before the housekeeper comes in, so
why you get a housekeeper, give you a deadline.
I know. And so, Katie, I'm going to be calling you, darling, cause I got to have some help. I just don't have an eye for design. I tease myself and I say, it looks like Dr. Seuss decorated my house. It kind of does. And that's kind of fun.
But it's whatever you like. It's
yeah.
your house, yeah.
But my husband lives there too. And he's just kind of tolerated, I like really dark color. I like burgundies and, I like natural woods. I would live in an old cabin if I had.
Bigger. I like that
I
vibe too.
love to live in an old cabin. I watch old historical, movies and stuff, and they have all these dark greens, and that's me. But nowadays everything's
bright
and light, and my husband kind of likes that, so I got to figure out how to balance it.
Yeah.
The one thing you can't remove is my Viking stained glass. I got a stained glass Viking. It's
cool.
Yeah.
So my husband came from Norway, Michigan. That's their town mascot.
Is the Vikings.
Has nothing to do with the football team or what, and that's probably where this thing came from.
Yeah.
Something to do with the the Vikings
Minnesota
football
Vikings,
team.
yeah.
But yeah. No. We're we just have a few things that are just kind of odd that we're going to keep. And so Katie Did It Design. She can help you whether it be from start to finish to do all the work. You want a new look for 2024? Well, let's go. She's going to hook you up, and she's just so much fun to work with and just does beautiful stuff. Go and check it out. KatieDidItDesigns.com. KatieDidItDesigns.com. Every budget. Every need, she can hook you up. And then again, on social media, be sure to put that S on designs. Katie Did It Designs. And be sure to let them, let her and Perry, when you reach out to them, let them know that you turned this. All right, guys.
Well, I just wanted to, since I've been sitting in here with you, my phone has picked up on Katie Did Designs, and I've been getting her ads in my feed now. So,
The algorithms at work.
yeah, and so I've seen a lot of her befores and afters. They look really good. So,
Gosh, yeah.
yeah.
Cool stuff. And I'm going to have her come in and just help me because it's bad. It's really bad. I was walking around my house the other day. I was like, I got to have some help. I just can't continue to rely on my eye for color because it's just not good.
Some people just have a different.
Yeah.
They can do that. They
Yeah.
have a gift for that.
Yeah.
I'm more about like functionality in my house, and if everything's working and nothing's
Yeah.
broken at the moment, I'm happy.
As long as everything's orange, Brian's good.
Well, I do have a room upstairs. For that. I get one room in my entire house, but I do have a room. So
You have the orange room.
oh, it's our little bonus room upstairs. It's
Yeah.
years of stuff up there. So, but yeah.
We're getting ready to redo our old milk barn is the office that we had for Cardinal Roofing. And it's an office building now. I mean, it was turned into an office building, I don't know, like in 92. And so we've got this really cool building. And my husband's like, that's mine. Upstairs is going to be the man cave.
Yeah.
And then downstairs is going to be a workshop. I am, at least going to keep my bathroom. Well, we're redoing the bathroom in it. But, he's like, that's mine. I'm going to make it my own. I'm like, sure, you go for it.
Go
honey.
for it, man.
So anyway, we'll see what happens
him.
there. We'll get Katie Did It in there for him too to help design it. I'm sure there'll be some green and yellow in there. The
He's
Packers.
a Packers fan.
Oh, are you
Yeah.
kidding me? They still
Yeah.
have tickets at Lambeau.
I didn't know that. Yeah, that's cool. Yeah.
They were passed down. I mean, well, they were transferred over.
You have to be. Yeah, most
Yeah.
of them.
Oh yeah.
My
If you
old
ever want to go to
boss
Lambeau, we might could hook you up. I mean,
well,
there's a
that's
lot
good
of
to know.
competition for the
Yeah.
family up there because they're family tickets.
Yeah.
But yeah.
My old boss was from Green Bay, Wisconsin, and her dad had those legacy tickets, and
Yeah.
so they're still in their family. So
Well, and you figure Uncle Joe was the one who purchased them in the beginning. He had them from the very start. So
Wow.
yeah. So they've still got tickets at Lambeau.
We've got a cheese hat. That's about as
cheese
like,
head.
yeah.
Cheese head, not a cheese hat. Or is it no, they do have the ball caps.
No,
that
no,
look like
no.
cheese.
It's the wedge.
If it's the wedge. That's
Yes.
called a cheese head.
A cheese head. We have
Cheese
one of
head.
those at our house.
they do love cheese up there, man.
Well,
Yeah,
I've
they
got
do.
we'll get to what we're talking about. I've already done my ads. We have all the time in the world. I have a student from Indonesia, and she's just the most precious thing in the world in the day. And she comes in one day, and I don't have her in class this year, but I saw her just a couple of days ago, but last year she came in with something with Green Bay on it, and I'm like, what are you doing? Are you a Packer fan? My host, my family and all that. And I'm like, oh, I've got a cheesehead. We are going to take a picture of you for them.
Yeah.
So I've got to take the cheesehead in and do a photo shoot within a day.
Yeah.
Because they would love it.
Yeah.
And it's one from Lambeau too. It's
And
not
a
like
real
a
deal.
cheesehead from, somewhere else. It was purchased at Lambeau Field. So
Wow. That's
Yeah,
pretty
wow.
impressive.
not made of real
wow.
cheese, is it?
no.
That would be.
Ours would have been eaten by now if that was the case. I've got
Aged
3 teenage
fermented
boys.
Cheese.
One of the best pranks I've ever been involved with when I was working at the Blaze, down in Texas. We had a big game that was like whether or not you got to continue on between Dallas and Green Bay. And so, of course, everybody at the Blaze, there were some Texas guys. I mean, they were all, we're going to beat Packers, and we beat them. And so that weekend, I went out and I got a package of yellow clay.
Mm-hmm.
And I made little tiny cheese heads. I mean, because I was like, it was a weekend. I was there. I was bored.
Right.
And so I went out and got this clay, and I made these little tiny wedges of cheese.
Oh my
And
gosh.
they looked awesome. I bet I had 20 of them, and I just scattered them all over the studio.
I'm I'm sure they love that.
I got so much grief over that.
Sure. They take their football a little seriously.
Pat, he got one. He goes, "What is this? Who did this?" And of course, they all knew who did it. But anyway, it was hysterical. It was so funny. That's one of my favorite gags I ever got to pull off in my life. But it was so funny because they were so mad. It was great. They were just everywhere.
Yeah.
Anyway. Brian and Tiffany are here from United Way. Hi.
Hello. It's Happy New Year, I guess. We haven't seen you, so.
It's been a minute.
Yes, it has.
Oh my goodness.
It's been a minute. It's been a lot going on,
Yes.
and everybody knows about my mom passing and all of that, and appreciate all the thoughts and the prayers. Y'all reached out to me too. Thank y'all so much.
Definitely been praying for your
And
family,
appreciate
so
that.
I know it's
Appreciate that.
hard.
We have good days and bad days,
Sure.
Yep.
So,
but a lot of people going through that, man. You know,
Yeah.
we've got the Caps family here, the Cody Caps. I mean, losing that young man. That family, my goodness! I had a friend yesterday, Karen Reeves, and that they had her memorial, and it's just I could go through a list. I don't know what it is. This season this year has been just full of these losses. So just keep everybody in your prayers and circle around them. If you don't have a church family, find one.
That's right.
Because I don't know how you do it without them, for sure. But I know that you guys have a lot to cover because we're getting into tax season and all of that. Do you want to start there? Because that's one thing when I thought about,
We can actually, I kind of want to start where you just left off with Cody Caps. He was part of our Robertson County Prevention Coalition, and he was a huge part of our Robertson County Prevention Coalition. He was our connection to the school district and was working on quite a few projects. One of them is where we have a trailer and we want to build it out to be a hidden in plain sight trailer, which is where parents can walk through and it looks like a child's bedroom, and they can look. There'll be red flags placed everywhere in places for where kids would normally hide drugs and stuff. So the parents can walk through and have an immersive education experience on how to look for those red flags for your child, how to make sure that you're not missing something. And that's what's called hidden in plain sight. I mean, a lot of times it's hidden, but it's right there in front of us. And so we don't know what to look for. And this educates parents and teaches them. And so he was working on that project, trying to get Springfield High School woodshop to class to help build that out. So that was a big thing. And then anyway, he had a lot of our connections with the school district. And so it's a huge loss for the Robertson County Prevention Coalition. We also had another couple setbacks, and we're just kind of in a place where we really could use some help. So if that's something that you have the capacity or heart to do, we meet today at the library, the second Thursday of each month at noon. So we would love to have people come out and meet with us, talk with us, see if you can help be part of the solutions that we're facing. We really need to educate families about what's going on with our youth. It's an ever-changing world, a lot different than when I was a kid. Like new ways to hide your drugs was like, maybe came out every once in a while, but it's like almost daily now. Like really having a place to educate parents in today's ever-changing world is really big for us and important. I think it'll really help. We have an opioid epidemic here in Robertson County, and the only way that we're going to overcome that is by more education and more connection. So that brings us to like our mentoring. And Cody was a huge mentor to youth and to children. He really, he worked with, youth all over Robertson County and stuff. But if like I said, your New Year's resolution should be get involved. Get involved.
Where can you be involved?
Let's get involved, and especially with our youth, that's where they need to be involved. So this is one place you go, the Robertson County Prevention Coalition. I know CASA's starting another class next month to train more advocates to be advocates for our foster kids. It's another way to mentor our youth. I know the Flag Football League has a mentorship program. There are a lot of ways to get involved and to mentor. And so I just want to really encourage people to, if you haven't already set your New Year's resolutions, or if you haven't, getting involved wasn't one of them, please add it. Like find a way to give back to your community, find a way to make a difference in the lives of these kids. Because if we don't invest in this next generation, it's gonna play out in a very bad way for us.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely, and the loss of him for sure, Cody Caps. I've been a part of meetings where he spoke, didn't know him at all, but just you can't hear anything about him and not just have a heartbreak of course, first and foremost for the family, but then for the community because of the kind of person he was. Yep. And when you hear about somebody that's doing so much, you just go, oh, okay, God, I don't understand.
I don't get that. 37 years old, four little boys.
Yeah,
I had a chance to meet him a few times and heard a couple of his talks, and the passion that he had for young people was just completely evident. And the fact that he was he'd be a troubled child, he'll tell you, in his talk himself. And so he identified with those kids that needed that extra help. Yeah. And it's just a huge loss for our community. And it takes several people to step up when somebody like that leaves us. You know what I mean? So because they were covering so many things. And so what Tiffany is saying is like, get involved. We need good people to step up. And you can't like just rely on other people like, well, they'll take care of it, because we need everybody, and particularly with our young people, because it's a different deal they're dealing with. When we were coming up, it was, alcohol and maybe pot or whatever, and cigarettes. And then now, I mean, they've got stuff that can kill you or get you in a situation where you're addicted for the rest of your life, and you're dealing with severe addiction issues for the rest of your life because it's so physically addictive. So that's a great work that they're doing. And
medication for the rest of your life to just even survive and function.
So needs some help there. Yeah, we definitely do. Pour into our young people, and there's many ways to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Clarissa Gardner is now over Big Brothers Big Sisters, which is huge. Yes, we're so excited.
That's big news, man.
Clarissa Gardner is an amazing. She's just like Cody, just one of those people that's out there for our youth every single day, making a difference. And so she just she's been over the UT Extension after school program for junior high, middle school age kids, and now she's also doing the Big Brothers Big Sisters program. So
that's exciting.
That's a great way to get involved. I just can't wait to see how she takes that program and grows it and let's really I think her biggest key is she really puts everything in God's hands, and so I know she's going to watch as God multiplies that program for our youth here in Robertson County. So I'm pretty excited about it.
That's fantastic news. Yeah.
I love it. I mean, I love this conversation because it's so needed, and I want to take it. I have a question for you guys because we had an encounter last night. I work with Celebrate Recovery up in Nashville and up at Madison Church of Christ. And we had a family came in with 3 boys and two teenage, one, I think 9 years old, living on the street, not in a car, on the street. What in the world do we do? I mean, how do we help them? I mean, I know it's just like I had to talk with them. I said, okay, there's the shelter that the mom and the boys can go in. They're married. And so they didn't, we had the conversations with the mom about the nuances of, well, we don't want to be there because then dad can't be with us. And that's a problem for our marriage. But I'm like, well, you got to get these kids off the street. Right. So here's my dilemma. And I've had this conversation with my benevolence minister at times when I've seen this when I was full-time at the church. We would have a family come in and the kids are living in the car. When do you involve social services and say, we got kids living on the street versus they obviously love their mom and their dad. I mean, they were hanging all over them. What do you do? I mean, I've never felt so helpless to help somebody last night. Is that family? I was like, I don't know what to do, and what would you suggest?
Luckily, we've got great people that do know. If there's no abuse and neglect involved, I highly suggest not calling like the child abuse hotline, just because we don't want to separate families that are otherwise function fine, right? So my number one, we have the Family Collective, which is a program that, especially if they have minor children, their whole goal is to house and keep families housed, and they help stand in the gap until that can happen. So not only do they can put families up in a hotel if depending on the funding. I'm not promising anything, but Goodwill and the Family Collective both have programs for families with minor children that help put them up. And then they also have coaching services that wrap around these families and coach them to being able to provide for themselves and help solve any of the underlying issues. Because we know homelessness isn't just usually chronic homelessness isn't just, oh, something bad happened and I don't have money to pay my rent this month. It usually deals with some underlying trauma, underlying mental health issues that have caused chronic homelessness, And so that's that would be my first thing. I know who the contact is here in Robertson County. Now in Nashville, we could find out for you because
you could find out for me because we have contact for these folks.
Yeah, so
I told her the temperature is about to plummet.
Yeah,
what can we do? And I believe that from my understanding is they did have some shelter last night, and so because I mean that. I think that they get to the point too where they don't want to answer a lot of questions because they don't want people called in. These are some folks that have had some addiction in the past, but they're clean and sober now. So we know what got them. We seem to anticipate from what they would be willing to share with us. We knew that they know that addiction is what got them there, but they truly, when you just feel like they're really trying.
Right.
And so they deserve a chance. And so, and we were talking about the different places to get, I said, are you on somebody's list? What are you doing for housing? I just, like I said, I just felt hopeless. I just felt absolutely helpless to really help them find a solution. Yeah. And so I need those contacts.
Yeah.
Because we can get in touch with them.
The Family Collective is a United Way program, but we contract out through nonprofits throughout our footprint to.
Okay. So we got to get this family off the street. I mean, there's 3 kids, and they get them to school. Mm-hmm. They get them to school every day. Yeah,
there's
and so I'm like,
there's help there. I've watched the Family Collective work firsthand, and it is incredible what they did for a family that I know. Same situation. They were a day away from being on the street. They had been living in motels and stuff, and just kind of run out of money, run out of favors, run out of friends' couches to crash on, and that's where you land in your car. So, but they took them, got them in a motel for a few weeks to get them kind of stabilized, get a job, and then got them housing, and they're still there a year later. So, and both working and thriving, and it was they just needed a little help to kind of get settled and then be able to push forward, and also the counseling and other things that went into it. What you're saying, some of the root causes is like, why are you in this situation so we don't end up back here? So educate them on finances, and it's just a really, really amazing program. It's when I go talk to companies, I bring it up a lot because it's just an incredible. I mean, it's a real thing they're out there doing and getting these. When you see young people that they're about hey, like imagine it's being out right in this temperature, sleeping in your car, and it just breaks your heart. You want to do something for them, but the resources are limited. So what they're doing is incredible.
Well, see, and what the situation seemed to be last night is that they were at a hotel, but they were staying in the hallway or something. And, I didn't get real specific. So, but I told her, I said, we've got to figure something out because it's going to be zero. Yeah. And, and anyway, but it's just, man, there's got to, and then that led into the conversation about the limit on affordable housing. Mm-hmm. And how, because of the benevolence program we have at the church, we come in contact with this a lot. And there's so many people just, really, they got priced out of their home because of the development that's happening in Nashville. And what do we do? I mean, we're going to see more and more families on the street. Yeah. And
they were renting, and the people they were renting from sold because it was advantageous to them, which you can't blame them. I mean, that's a property you own, but I mean, then you can't afford rent wherever you were going, So it's just, it's a vicious cycle.
I got to tell you something, guys. If you want to find something where you just got it, I mean, you can really be effective is getting involved in that type of a program because it is such a need. And Aaron Slate, let's see, he said he just finished a book on God and money. One of the authors is from Nashville. Change the way you think about helping people or the lack thereof of helping people. So there you go. Appreciate that recommendation, Aaron. And talking with Tiffany Thomson, Brian Pulley with United Way. This is your year to get involved. Get involved in the messy lives around you. Mm-hmm. What's happening one street over from where you are, you would be shocked. Probably. You would probably be shocked. And, watching that sweet family last night.
Brings it home, doesn't it?
Brings it home, man.
Speaking of real quick, and I go to church with Mary and Jane Richardson, and we were having dinner last night, and my father's house has gotten a pass to be open from starting Saturday.
This is such good news.
Next Saturday, and they're open 24 hours a day for a week. They get that. That's from the fire marshal.
Is it that cold?
And big shout out to Dr. Kumar, which I think helped get some of that done. And so good job, Sabi. We appreciate it. But they need help. Obviously, they need additional volunteers because they're going to be open 24 hours. The day shifts, she said, were 8 to 12 or 12 to 5. And they will have some of their seasoned volunteers that are help if you've never done it before, but they just need somebody there in addition to the overnight. But they also need people there during the day. So those are, if you have some time during the day, and then obviously meals will be needed as well. And then they can always use money to purchase food. They think they've got good stuff on breakfast, but like lunches for everybody that's going to be there during the day. And then, like I said, if you've seen some of these temperatures that are coming, it's not like we're going to get relief during the day. It's going to be like 12 degrees or something crazy during the day. So great opportunity to step right in and help right here in this community. So Tiffany has, I'm sure, all the contact information there.
I do. Yes, you can always get a hold of me, and I'll connect you with Steve or MJ or whoever else, or Charlene. But yeah, absolutely, you can contact me at 615-780-2511. Again, that's 615-780-2511. So yeah, we'll get you connected. But yeah, and my understanding, because they were open, I think last year for like a week or two during the day too, and usually go and play games. Like if you can handle a little Scrabble, or some card games. I don't really know,
not,
but yeah,
not digging ditches over there. It's
just
they just need somebody there,
just hanging out,
and and get a chance to pour into people too. You know what I mean, and share God's love. So that's a good opportunity.
Absolutely,
it will blow your mind. It will bless you. I can't begin to tell you my interactions with people who are unhoused will blow your mind. It's not what you think. It is not what you think. Sometimes
absolutely.
It is just not. Yeah.
Well, there's a big stigma that they got themselves into this mess. They need to figure out how to get themselves out. And when you go and you actually sit down and hear their stories, you realize that so many of them just had really hard things just happen. Yeah. And they. People selling their house out from underneath them or whatever. And so, yeah, there's a lot. In fact, my daughter the other day, she gets migraines every once in a while, and she had one the other day. And afterwards, we were doing something. She was like, I have that one bummer thing about me. And I was like, what's that? She's like, well, that I get headaches. And I said, sweetheart, everybody has that bummer thing about them and that you can't see. I was like nobody can see your headache. Nobody would know that you struggle with that. Everybody's got a bummer thing. And I think that's really what you find out in there, that, we all have that bummer thing that you can't see, but some of these people, it's caused them to be homeless, or it's caused them to lose their family support system, or and so it's really a really great place to just be able to love on people. So
well, and I had the encounter just briefly with the family, the man and wife that were at Laundry Love. And he was back there playing this game, and just when you step into that situation, you're like, what is he doing back there gaming while she's trying to wash the clothes? He'd had a stroke, and the mechanics of the game was helping him get his ability just to use his hands back. And that's why they lost their home, is because he had to quit working, and so she was working just anywhere she could, trying to keep them housed while he recovered. And I'm like, oh my gosh, it's like, wow.
I mean, it's one or two pieces of bad luck, maybe a bad decision, and then there's somewhere that you wish you could take back, and then there you are.
Hey, there you
know what
are.
I mean? And
there you are.
And for a lot of us that have been blessed with good health, that's a big part of it.
And a
lot
family
of us got support.
I would never be homeless because of my family, not just my physical, like my blood family, but my spiritual family. That is not something I would ever not be housed. That's not a risk for me because of that. Some people just don't have that support. They just don't have that.
Absolutely.
But anyway, guys, I don't mean to be so heavy, but man, this is stuff we got to be thinking about, because one street over from where you live in, you'd be shocked to see what's happening, man. Absolutely. And you just need to just get out there. And had a friend that has long since passed, but she used to say, if you want to make a difference in somebody's life, you got to get involved in their dirty, hard life. And she goes, you just got to get
life is messy.
Yeah,
life is messy for sure. But if you also, real fast, I will put in the plug for VITA. Our VITA season's coming up. If you would like to volunteer helping a lot of these vulnerable population people get money back into their pocket that they are owed from our government, please volunteer with VITA. You don't have to be a huge numbers person. If you can take a picture and upload it, we need you. If you can say hi to people and smile, we need you. If you can do numbers, we really need you.
Do taxes. We're talking about tax preparation.
You'll be trained. You don't have to be a CPA or anything like that. You will be trained on how to do taxes. But so if you like numbers, that's why I say there's a whatever your passion, there's a place for you to plug in. If you're a numbers person, we got volunteer opportunities for you. If you're a kids person, we got volunteer opportunities for you. So we would love for that.
Just greeters as well,
Yeah,
right?
yeah, we just need greeters. If you're just a friendly person, we've got a place for you to plug in. So there's a place for everybody to plug in. Invita is a great place to do that. And as you're looking forward to getting your taxes prepared, it is a free program provided by the IRS, by the way. They're the ones who pay the grant. And so it is something that is totally your right to have done free for you. And we, because of our grant, have to serve more people this year. So don't feel like you're taken from anybody. We're actually seeking people to do their taxes this year. So please, 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 please consider having your taxes done for completely free from VITA program. If you'd like more information about that, give me a call, 615-780-2511.
Do the number again.
615-780-2511.
Anything else that we need to do? We can go a little bit. Anything else we got? Anything?
Our biggest thing right now. Laundry Love next week.
Yeah, Laundry Love. Yeah.
Laundry Love next week. That number, call it.
Big shout out to, just real quick, to we had so many corporate partners of ours step up during the storm relief and donate money.
I could have a whole nother show about that. Sorry.
Yeah, right.
I was like, oh shoot, I forgot.
And
next week.
Offer services, goods and services. They offered money, and this, I think, I'm not going to get the money right, but it was as of Courtney my boss told me, as Monday, it was just to our United Way of Greater Nashville. It was over $1 million that was donated. I can't know the exact number, but it was over $1 million.
For Robertson County, our number that specifically is to recovery here is over $80,000. So we've got money to help bless people's lives. So if you know people that have been affected, please have them also get a hold of me.
By the storms.
By the
tornadoes.
The tornado.
Yep.
Specifically.
Very good.
Yep.
Well, and I have to tell you, too, real quickly, we did a news update, our Greenbrier Bobcat audio video program, and we plugged the Raise Your Hands for the kiddos.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Are they still accepting
Oh,
volunteers?
yeah. In fact, I think they're coming next week to talk to Greenbrier High School about getting volunteers. So, yeah.
Well, we just did a commercial for
Yay.
you.
You primed the pump. I
was a little concerned that I was a little late to the program with it because of everything that happened. We just didn't get that quite done at the time I wanted to, because I wanted it right after y'all were here last time to talk about it, but we got it out there. I'll send y'all a link for it.
And we've got a big community project coming up, which I'll have more details about next week. So look forward as a little teaser next week. Next week's going to be really fun. We're going to be talking about
and it's
that.
a fun one. It's a fun one.
A really fun one. Yes.
Oh, I can't wait. Very good. I'm so glad to see you guys.
Yes.
Being here. Thank you guys for joining us here for 1100 WSGI. God bless. Have a wonderful day.
Meg, welcome once again the Blackwood Brothers and Tribute Quartet.